ahead and welcome Marissa Clarke to our Fresh Fiction Virtual Book Club. Marissa, it's so good to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. I'm going to cross my fingers that my Wi-Fi stays going. I live in the middle of nowhere and I have satellite Wi-Fi. And so not only is there a latency issue, so if I act like I'm not with you, I am, but sometimes I just fade away. So if I do, I'll grab my phone and get back on.
The pros and cons of technology. In some ways it allows you to do this, but on the flip side, you can never quite depend on it 100%, right?
I love being isolated like this, though. Only moments like this is it a problem.
Well, either way, we are glad to have you tonight. And I'm curious about the inspiration behind the book that just came out with Accidentally Perfect. I mean, was there something that occurred where you wanted or needed to escape and go out to essentially the middle of nowhere?
That's what I have done. Good question. I live in a place that isn't even a town. There are 100 people, and the closest town has about 200 people. And I have to drive 45 minutes to get to anything with a grocery store, which is, it's good. It causes me to organize. But I come from Houston, Texas. Hi, all you Texans. I saw so many people from Texas in the earlier segment. I came from Houston, which has over 6 million people in the main area. And so this was, we had a vacation home down here for 22 years, which is on an island in the middle of the river. Now that was really isolated. I at least have neighbors now. I have been redoing it. We call it the homestead because I have chickens, which is kind of hilarious. And I have dogs. Come here. One of which is right here. Just thought I'd throw her in because she's
always love to see the peppers. Yes.
There she is. This is Bonnie, and you'll probably hear them. But yes, so I moved from a huge city to a small town. Now that is not what inspired me. It did help me. What inspired me, I am a huge Martha Stewart fan, and I was devastated when she did what she did that caused her empire to collapse a bit. But I have been fascinated by her pairing up with Snoop Dogg. And I don't know what caused me to think of it, but I thought, well, what if Snoop Dogg were really the brains behind it all? And he knew how to do everything. And Martha Stewart was just a shill, she's just the face. And so that just sort of got me turning. And I thought, well, what if there were a male Martha Stewart who can't even boil water? And we got this girl carrying all the weight behind it, and he's getting all the credit. And how would that feel? So that's sort of what got it going.
How did you first get into writing?
Oh, this is funny. In fact,
the initial question.
I wish she were here. She's down on the dock. I don't think she's fishing. I actually think she's working. My daughter, when she was in 5th grade, was reading this little book called Twilight. And she was lamenting the hero's journey, because in 5th grade, you're too young to really get the hero's journey. Why is he angsty? Why is he, And so I told her, I'll write a book for you. I don't know why I did it. It was dumb, but I skipped every creative writing class I could ever skip because, hate creative writing. I really do. I still do. I cannot stand it. I love the editorial part. And once I got the story down, then I'm good. I'm great. It's getting that story down. And it's just, I think I'm decent at it, but oh my gosh, I don't like it. And so, isn't that funny how we are given gifts that we just can't stand? So I started writing this book for her, and it was a terrible book. It ended up being 700 pages of just absolutely terrible book. And she loved it. And I had finished my commitment to her. It's actually a funnier story than that, but I'm going to spare you. And my husband came in and he says, okay, so you finished the book. What are you going to do now? And I said, well, I put it in the trash on my desktop. I'm out. I'm done. And he said, you can't do that. And I'm like, why? He said, look at the kitchen. Look at the kitchen. And I turned around and I looked at the kitchen, and I'm kind of a neat freak. And so the kitchen was piled with dishes. I looked like a normal person. This is how people live. And I turned around, I'm like, if you're going to come at me for the dishes, you and I are about to really throw down, because I don't. He goes, no. you found something you like better than obsessing over cleaning things. So you need to go with this because it's a lot better. So, and there was more to that than that also. So I thought, okay, well, how hard can it be? You know, I went to law school. I taught English. I taught history. How hard can this be? I've written the book already. So I then researched and found out it was very, very hard. And I was lucky and got struck by lightning and basically won the lotto. And I got, let me grab it. My very first book to be published was this young adult called Shattered Souls, which is the most beautiful cover I think I've ever seen. I mean, Penguin gave me the most beautiful cover in the world. And so I got published as a young adult author. And once my teens got too old for me to completely steal their way of speaking, it became a lot harder to write YA as an older woman. And so I began writing romance, and which was what I read. So that was a natural transition. So I never wanted to write. My very first book was sold when I was 47 years old. I wrote the book when I was 46. Never had written anything like that in my life. So it's never too late. Everybody get out there and start writing.
You said it was kind of a natural transition, but what were the easy aspects or what were the difficult aspects moving from YA? And I know that you also did a paranormal and the rom-coms that you have.
Let me grab that one because I want to show you this one. My favorite genre to write in the whole world is paranormal romance. Look, man boobs and everything.
Hey, we always like the chest, yeah.
Yeah, this is Love Me to Death. I think it's a wonderful book. I loved writing it. It is so fun. So it was a natural segue for me to go from young adult, very angsty paranormal to adult, very sexy and angsty paranormal. Mm-hmm. So that was a really great transition for me. It was interesting. It was a fun transition. My daughter walked up behind me. They were much older at this time. It was a different daughter. And she walks up and I had started writing a scene. It wasn't a sex scene, but it was intimate. They were kissing, they were doing whatever. And she walks up and she's, I could kill her. I'm glad she's not here. She said, "Ma, at your age, you could hurt yourself just writing about that." And you are so grounded. Go to your room. I mean, really. So it was fun. It was a very fun transition. I love writing.
One of the things that I really enjoyed with Accidentally Perfect was how you pulled in the different generational aspects. So our main couple, but you were still dealing with the teen angst of young love, and also had the older generation and the difficulties of change after they lose a spouse and trying to come to terms and kind of get settled into the new way of life. How difficult was that, or easy really, to pull in all those different aspects into the story?
I had been writing a lot of category romance, which, as you know, focuses only on the primary couple. And occasionally I would sneak in a young person or an older person. My favorite thing to write is older people because I've worked a lot with older people and they're fascinating and brilliant, and they've been there and they've done that. And you get someone in their late 80s and I remember I went to a theater and it was some silly, I'm sorry, my dog has a toy, some silly play, and it had a lot of sexuality to it. And I was sitting next to someone, I'm not going to say who it was, but they go, "Oh my God, look at all these old people. They're going to be so embarrassed." And I turned to that person and I said, "They've been doing it longer than we've been alive. What is the..." So I love older people because they're so fun to write. They're so full of experience. So I had to write older people. In fact, the older gentleman from this, Mr. McGuffey, gets I'm partway through the second book now, and he gets some great stuff in this one. So. Oh,
good.
Yeah, he gets some great stuff. And it's just a natural thing for me because I've done so much of that. I'm sorry about the dog.
Oh, no, that's okay. Don't worry. And how do those things come to you then? Are you developing the character first? Or are you developing the situation? Are you basing them, especially if you like to write the older characters, on people that you know?
Oh, no. I don't base them on people I know. I've done that, and that is nothing but trouble. You could, of course, everything comes from somewhere. I mean, I've got some neighbors here in this tiny place. I'm going to write another small town series that feature these people because they are the best things ever. No, I do write character based, but on this particular book, I started with the Martha Stewart concept. And then I thought, well, I need to set it in a small town, and I don't want to set it in Texas. And, you know, I've written in Texas lots. And I thought, well, my second favorite place to write, I spent a good deal of time in Maine when I was researching for another book called Ashes on the Waves. And I spent a good bit of time there and love it. And I thought, well, it's perfect. I thought, well, all these little coastal towns, but what if it's a town nobody ever goes to that doesn't want to go there? And that really resonated because, dog, I'm going to take the toy away. Because we had a ranch growing up in Northeast Texas off of Lake Tawakoni. And it was in a little town called Point, population 309. Oh, dog. And Point, Point, Texas is very much like Blink. It was dying. Everybody was older. Everybody was older. I would go visit. There was nobody even remotely close to my age or my dad's age. Or my mom's age. So it has rejuvenated a bit now. So I knew what that felt like to walk down the sidewalk and there's nobody there. I felt that. I've been there. So I wanted this town that was dying. And now it's not. It's been saved.
The other aspect that also resonated with me, and you alluded to it earlier, you know, what if, you know, Snoop Dogg was actually the brains behind all of it? But there were so many cases here where that pretty face was getting the credit for everything.
Oh, yeah.
And definitely relatable in a real world setting too. I mean, of how often does the credit go sometimes to others, and you can't completely blow everything up, but you want to make sure people know, well, wait a second, I'm the one actually in charge here.
Right.
So that part of it just really hit me on like, I'm like, oh yes, that's what I need to say a lot of times at work. Yeah.
I don't think there's a single person, especially women. I don't want to gender everything, but I feel like, okay, thank you, dog. I'm keeping the ball. I have the ball now. You don't get it back. I don't want to be completely gender, specific on this, but I really feel like women get this a lot. We step back out of the limelight while someone else takes the credit, and we're doing all the work, and it, whether it's for another woman or another man, I feel men might be less inclined to do that because it's not part of the culture. But with us, it's a culture of nurture, and it's a culture of assisting. And I feel like we do that. You cannot have this ball. I feel like we do that a lot. So yes.
And when you're writing on this, I mean, we talked a little bit about the characters, but do you hear them? Do you see the scenes when you're going through your process? I mean, what is your overall writing process? You're putting the story together.
I hear them in my head. I come from an acting background, and so scripts run through my head. Hold on 1 minute. Can you get these dogs in your room with this ball away from me? Sure. Thank you. My daughter's a hero. Thank you. I'm sorry. So I hear them talking, and they talk all the time. And so I see it play out as if it were on stage. So that's where it comes from, is a method acting background.
Mm-hmm. And how does that play then once you finish your initial book, since you're working on book 2 of the series? Are you still seeing the original story with Lillian continuing? I mean, obviously there's similar characters, but do things stop once you're finished writing, or is it like, oh no, they're still going on and living their life in the background?
Oh, they live in the background. And that's why I'm glad I'm doing a sequel. In fact, from my very first book, the one I showed you, The Young Adult, still sometimes they'll make a little appearance. And I'm like, shut up. But no, they do reappear. And I like, in all of my series, I'll bring back characters from other books just because they won't stop. They still exist in my head, So absolutely. And the next book features Cassidy. who is the Miss Fix-It girl, and the doctor, who is McGuffey's son, and a surprise character, because it's called Accidentally Famous. And I'll just give you the premise super quickly, because I think it's adorable.
Oh, please, yes.
Mega movie star. Think huge. Think like a Brad Pitt big, or a Robert Downey Jr. big, like real superstar, right? And his assistant is to put up an Instagram post to his sister with this goofy movie line from this movie he's in. He's in the fourth edition of this movie, and he's just really burned out on it. And so the line is, "I'm coming for you, babe." And so the assistant puts it up with the photo of him in the stupid, costume that he wears in the movie. And she accidentally tags the wrong person. And she tags poor little Cassidy instead. And so here comes paparazzi. Here comes everybody on this poor little girl who's just remodeling a Victorian home. And so the movie star's got to go make it right. So Accidentally Famous is the second one. So we're bringing the great big Hollywood guy to this tiny little town.
And when should we be on the lookout for that?
It comes out, I am told it will also be a February book.
Okay. So February of 23.
23. My next book comes out May 9th. It's the third in the Animal Attraction series. This one is the second. Awesome. And the next one is super cute, and it has my dogs on the cover. So,
and what is the premise of that one for our readers that are not familiar with the series already?
The series Animal Attraction is three best friends who open a boutique salon for pets in New York City. And they do everything. It's a full-on, we'll take care of your animal. They have a vet, which is the third book. They have a groomer. They have boarding, daycare, you name it. They have house sitting, everything for your pets. And so they start this business up, and out of that comes some pretty hilarious hijinks.
Okay. Well, Marissa, jump into what we call our fresh fiction fun facts. So it's just a series of questions meant to be some quick type answers, what comes immediately to your head. Okay.
Oh boy.
Expand or as short as needed. And don't worry, it kind of runs the gamut. There's some really easy ones and some others that might.
Don't feel hard.
How do you celebrate a new release?
I clean my house.
Oh God.
I'm serious. I clean my house. I clean my house because my house is a disaster after I finish. And I'm so excited to be able to do that. I'm not kidding. I have a little OCD on me. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, anytime you want to clebrate up in the Dallas area, stop at my house. Okay. I will celebrate.
I celebrate by cleaning my house. That's embarrassing. You said tell the truth. The first thing that comes to mind. When I first started writing because this is book 11, 12, I don't know. The first book, we went out to dinner and we had steak and we did all that. And honestly, the most exciting day is the day you have approved the copy edits and you send it in. That is, to me right now, when I don't have to read that book again. That's the time. Release day, it's when you turn it in. That's the big day. That's when I get, break open the champagne.
Well, about how many times do you probably go through and do a reading of the book before you send it in for that final copy?
Oh, my system involves way too many times. I'll write, generally speaking, I'll write 1,500 words, and then I'll go edit that. And then I'll go back to the beginning and edit all the way up to that again. And then I'll write the next 1,500. I'll edit that. I'll go back 1,500, edit that. Then I'll go back to the beginning and read it again. And so by the time you get to the end of the thing, I'm not going back to the beginning. I'm usually going back 5 or 6 chapters. By the time I finish the book, I've read it, and we on one of them we calculated. I read it about 12 to 20 times, depending.
Wow.
So, and then you get revisions, and I'll get 3 rounds of those, and then I get copy edits, and I My daughter is my copy editor. Thank God she's a professional copy editor. So I don't really have to go read my book again for that, just to say yes or no. But then there's the proofreading. And I know a lot of authors don't proofread. They just let the proofreaders handle it, but I proofread it also. So I read it too many times. When I was writing books, and young adult especially, that were difficult books, that were dark and complicated, much more complicated than romantic comedy is, I would sometimes break the pressure by writing death scenes for them. I would kill them because it made me feel much better to kill them in these crazy, weird ways. And then I'm okay. I go back and, isn't that weird? I lit more people on fire. It was good.
Okay. All right. I understand it, getting out the frustrations. So
yes, but I've never had to do that on a romantic comedy because they're dark.
Okay, good.
I don't feel like killing them. I never feel like
reassuring. Well, and going through so many different cycles, then what is your favorite writing fuel?
My favorite writing fuel is M&Ms.
Ooh,
dark chocolate M&Ms. If I
dark chocolate,
I write a dark chocolate, I write a page, I get an M&M. Every day, 250 words, I get an M&M. Sometimes 2 or 3, if they're good words.
Bigger the word, more unusual, maybe an additional handful.
Oh yeah. dark chocolate M&Ms. They're the fuel.
Wow. With whom would you want to be stuck in an elevator?
Oh, my husband.
Oh, that's sweet.
My husband. There's just no one else I'd want to be stuck with. So.
Okay. I'm like, oh, that's just sweet. That's a good answer. Okay. All right. What or who is your dream writer collaboration?
My dream writer collaboration. Well, one of my best friends is Sophie Jordan. And I would love to write because she is a sweet spirit. But I value our friendship so much, I wouldn't do that. I really love Lisa Kleypas's books, and I love Cressley Cole's books. So it'd probably be a hell of a lot of fun to write with Cressley Cole. So that would be my dream collab.
Yeah. Well, I'm also thinking like with Sophie, I mean, because she does both historical and also paranormal.
Yes, and she also does contemporary.
And she's got she did start with contemporary. And doesn't she also have some YA series?
She has a lot of YA. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So lots of possibilities there.
I would want to write historical with her. I've never written a historical. It's almost exclusively what I read right now because I try not to read in the genres I write because I find myself very judgmental. I'm either judgmental or I get horrible imposter syndrome because I'll read something and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so terrible. And, so I just enjoy historical because there's no work pressure when I read it. It's something I don't write.
Well, what 3 things, especially if you're historical now, and I'm going to make an assumption here, what 3 things would you absolutely have to have if you found yourself stranded in another time?
Oh, wow. That's a hard question. Things I would have to have. I need hot water. Wow, getting off the caffeine addiction would be really tough, but I think I could do it. Hot water for sure. Something to read. So I'd have to take some books, of course. Wow. The third one's hard. I think I'd have to have my family. I'd have to bring my husband and kids.
Okay. All right. Kind of along the lines.
Don't tell them that I said hot water first.
Well, I mean, we all do priorities. Come on. Hot water and plumbing is, I think, that's quite important. What luxury item or unnecessary product or service can you just not live without?
Well, I've learned I can live without Wi-Fi out here in the country. Hot water, can't live without it. I do love electricity. I love electricity. We lose electricity a lot here too.
Hmm.
I love me some electricity. So probably, I really like scented shampoos.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a particularly favorite scent?
No, I just grab anything that I think smells good. I move. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What clothing or accessory that everyone else hates, but you absolutely secretly love?
Oh my gosh. Hokas.
Oh.
Hoka comfort slides. I wear them everywhere. It's
I
embarrassing.
love that you're actively wearing them.
That's all I wear. I had terrible, I shattered my heel and I was in a wheelchair for like 6 months and then on a knee scooter for way too long. And like I really shattered it, like crazy shatter. And like a light bulb. And so shoes are bad for me. So I started wearing these because they're soft and I got plantar fasciitis because of the shoe issues and all that. So these have been fantastic. So this really ugly shoes, at least they're not, I mean, you know, there they are. That's it. I love them.
What is the most terrible movie that you legitimately enjoy?
Oh, wow. The most terrible movie I enjoy. Terrible movie do I enjoy? Oh God, we were talking about one the other day. Terrible movie. I'm gonna probably have to skip that. I don't even know what you know what? The old Bond movies were horrible. The old Roger Moore Bond movies, those were so bad.
Okay,
And
the Roger Moore ones then.
Yeah. Oh, the Daniel
Okay.
Craig ones. Did you see the last one?
No, I still haven't seen the last one. No.
You gotta go see the last one. Oh my God, bring a Kleenex box. Yeah. No, the old Roger Moores, they're terrible, but they're hilarious.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, Octopussy is classic.
Oh, so bad.
Yes, I was raised on all the James Bond ones, so yes. Who was your first book boyfriend or girlfriend?
Oh. I wouldn't say it was a boyfriend or girlfriend, but the first character I obsessed over was the guy that turned into the roach in Kafka's Metamorphosis. Like I dreamed about that book. That really got me. But the first book boyfriend, like the one I really just like, oh my God, was Lestat.
Oh.
And just still, thank you very much. Love him. So
now, did you start loving him in the first book with Interview, or did you wait until he had his own book?
Oh no, it was Interview. It was
Interview already.
The minute I started, I didn't like Lewis. I'm like, oh, you're a pansy. Get me this guy. Yeah. I was young. That was good. Also, Paul Atreides from Dune.
Oh, yeah.
Back when I was, I think I was 8th grade or something when I read that. Oh, I had the hugest crush on him. Yeah. And I was just devastated when he got in for a Dune when he transforms into something else, which I'm not going to give away. I was devastated. I'm like, I can't love that.
Yeah. I understand. Yes. Yeah. So Marissa, as we wrap up, most important question is, how can our readers stay in touch with you and keep up with your future releases?
Oh boy, well, you could click that follow button on Amazon. Also, I am on Twitter. Because I write as Mary Lindsay and Marissa Clarke. I am Mary L. Marissa C. most places. So I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook a lot. And Instagram, I'm there. So that's the best way. Go to my website, which is www.Marissa Clarke, with an E on the end. And I'm there, and all my social media is there, and you can reach me through the contact page. I do have a newsletter, and I do have a fairly inactive right now because I'm out in the middle of nowhere group on Facebook as well called Camp Clark.
Great. Well, again, thank you for joining us tonight for the interview, and stick around for our follow-up Q&A.
Oh boy, thank you so much for having me. You guys do great work. I appreciate everything you do for romance.
Thanks, Marissa.